Hello and happy Mother's Day from Tim at AlphaWolfTrading.com. Coming at you with a short version sampling of this week's stocks to watch for trading and investing. If you want to get a full list of the stocks to watch that I put out every week for the pro members, come on over and join us as a part of the family over here at AlphaWolfTrading.com for $197 a year. Only $197 a year. Pretty cheap. Anyway, let me go ahead and get started here. So I've given a breakdown on the blog of the different sectors. There is, potential for us to maybe take a little pause here after 6 days up. Maybe take a little pause coming into a little bit of potential resistance on price and trend lines, so forth and so on. But there are a couple of sectors that I think could be very interesting this week, and retail being one of them, because we've got some retail numbers coming out on Tuesday, and then we've got some earnings related retail numbers that will be coming out this week. So, first one on the list of stocks to watch is Home Depot. Now, we're coming up into what is seasonally a pretty good time of the year for Home Depot, right? You got spring, you got people, planting new bushes and roses and all these things, and maybe doing some you know uh, repair work on their homes, or maybe even getting ready to sell their homes, so they're doing some upgrades, all kinds of stuff going on there. I think they're going to wind up reporting pretty good earnings, and they've got a great looking setup on the daily. We've broken over this trend line. We popped back over the 50-day. We bounced off the 200-day, and we've been putting in a pretty nice little flag pattern here. Now, they report on Tuesday. Could you take the stock prior to Tuesday's earnings? You could, especially if you're a long-term investor in the name. You may get a gap up. You could then pull back. That's kind of the theme we've been seeing with a lot of these bigger cap names. But maybe look for on Monday a pullback into this 197 area. You start dipping your toe, take a little position, and then if they're reporting earnings and you get a pullback, to the 50-day, maybe you look to add, or maybe if you get a pullback all the way down here to the 200-day, that's where you look to take a position. Unless, of course, they give some horrible guidance, which I just don't think is going to happen with Home Depot. But anything is possible. If they wind up if they wind up reporting a really strong number, I think we see a test into this 207 recent all-time highs. And then if we wind up taking that out, we're in blue skies, baby. Where it goes from there, who knows? But I think Home Depot is probably one to have on your radar. More of a long-term hold, more of a swing type trade than it is a day trade. But nonetheless, I think a good solid company to have on your radar. All right, let's take a look at one that isn't quite as thick as Home Depot. Now, this one reports Monday prior to the open. Now, this has got a fairly small float, MZOR. This has had an amazing run. Lower left, upper right has been kind of bear flagging a little bit here, right? It did crack below the 200-day. You still have the 50-day, which is above the 200-day. We haven't had the death cross yet. Stochastics, somewhat near approaching overbought. MACD Histo is positive. If these guys, they tend to pop off of good earnings. So if they report a good number, maybe we reclaim the 50-day moving average, which is around $60. So it's a 5-point move. Now, this could be a gapper in the morning. I would not recommend chasing this, right? Maybe you look for an intraday setup. Could be a day trading opportunity. Could be a short-term swing. If they have a good beat and a nice guide, this one could be worth having on the radar for sure. Play it size appropriate, right? It trades pretty decent volume, though. 566,000 shares traded hands on Friday. So there is liquidity there. And like I said, this has just got a great looking. Now we could be looking at. I will tell you this. Could be looking at a head and shoulders pattern, right? That would be my only concern here. If they disappoint, they break below the 200 day, they give poor guidance. This could be starting a new trend lower. So keep that in mind. Potential head and shoulders pattern. Um, if they report good numbers, though, this one could get some nice trading action. Like I said, don't chase it. Look for a uh, good intraday setup. BZUN, they report, I believe it's on Thursday. Now, this is a little bit extended. It's at an area of resistance. Now, I would like to personally see this pull back heading into those earnings. Maybe pull back into this $42 area, 41.80 area. See if it holds the support. And that could actually set this up for a pretty interesting play into earnings. Now, they have crushed it the last two earnings reports. This is gapped up. This gapped up and had a little bit of a pull, but then has been consolidating. The previous time that they reported, though, it had gapped up and then pulled back. So we'll see how this one does, but I like this as a long-term hold investment play. I would love to be able to get it in the $42 area or even at a gap fill closer to the 200-day at around 36.80 or so. That would be my ideal entry for a long-term hold position. But maybe we drift back lower here. We test this $43 area. Maybe you start to dip your toe there, even if it's ahead of earnings. Maybe just take a starter position in that area. If they report good earnings, then you participate in the pop. And if they disappoint and you get a gap fill, maybe that's where you look to add to that position and dollar cost average down. It all depends on what the earnings look like, what the guidance is. But I really like the setup on BZUN. Potential flat top breakout at all-time highs, right? So you're at blue sky territory with BZUN as well. All right, let's take a look at another name here. Wow. I just like saying it. Wow. Had a nice pop on Friday off of earnings. Popped right into the 100 EMA. It's basically filled the gap up to the $9 holla. Had good volume on Friday. 1.9 million shares trading hands, 29.5 million shares in the float. You've got, we are approaching overbought with stochastics, but as you know, I've said it before, things can stay overbought for quite some time. Where this one I think gets pretty interesting or compelling is on a pullback to around $8. See if it pulls back at a red to green move, take out $9. I think potentially you get $10 and maybe even head up to the 200-day at around $11, right? And then everybody would really be saying, wow. So potential pullback to 8, red to green, take out the 100 EMA with some conviction, with some volume. I think maybe you get a 10 test. So, look, if you come back up, if you do get a red to green, you get a pull to 8, I would take some off the table at 9, right? Testing this area here. Hold some, see if you get 10, take a little more off, and then look for $11. SGRY, looks like these guys reported earnings as well, and I was watching this one for a flat top breakout. Now, this one already had a pretty nice 3-day move, right? It's moved from basically 15 and change up to $19. It did manage to take out that flat top breakout and close this gap on the daily time frame. Now, what I'm kind of looking for is we get a pullback into the $17.50, $18 area. What was acting as resistance, look for that to act as support. This is a tiny floater, 16.3 million shares in the float. Traded 1 million shares on Friday. It is overbought. That's why I'm looking for it to pull back. And maybe find some support in that $17.60, $17.50, $18 area. build a little bit of a support level there, and then maybe look for another move higher. Could be a higher risk swing because of that small float. Could be a day trading opportunity. Um, if it pulls back and then it consolidates, gives us a setup, and then you get a breakout from that setup. That could be a day trading opportunity with some volume. AAC pointed this one out to the pro members on Friday. I have been watching this one for a while. This is an American Addiction Center. Certainly no shortage of problem or of customers there. I'm looking at this one. It's got a pretty interesting look. You got a cup with handle kind of look going on here on a longer term time frame, right? And then you got a small cup and handle right here. Flirting with the $12 holla. I love round number rolls. 13.1 million shares in the float, fairly small float. Traded 193,000 shares, which is decent liquidity, but it really looks like the 100 EMA has been holding up as support right around 1050. Maybe this gets a pop. Maybe you get a red to green. You get a 1250 test. Maybe even a $13 test on this one. Could be a short-term swing. Maybe a day trading opportunity. But if it were to pull back into the 1050 area again, that could be a long-term hold consideration area. All right. I just kind of like the way that this AAC has been acting. It's this $13 big area to get through. There looks like there is a gap to fill up to about 16 and change. So if we back this out to the weekly time frame, it actually kind of looks like what we've done is we've broken this long-term trend line, right? Consolidated, and we are stair-stepping up on this one. Stochastic starting to curl up on the weekly time frame. I like the setup on the daily. I think it's worth having on your radar. And that is it. That is my list for a sample list of stocks to watch for trading and investing. I have a significant amount of symbols to share with the pro members, which I'll be doing a little bit later today. And that's it. Good luck trading next week. Don't chase. Always have a plan. Keep an eye on retail. Keep an eye on biotech. Biotech is interesting, even though the markets are struggling, and that has been one of the weaker spaces after Trump's speech on Friday. We saw a lot of the biotechs bounce a little bit. More importantly, though, through all the weakness of the markets and even the weakness in the sector, there are a tremendous amount of biotech stocks out there that have some pretty good looking patterns, pretty good looking setups. And if IBB can manage to rally, if we see some rotation maybe out of energy into IBB, we could see some pretty nice moves in that sector. All right, I hope you found this helpful. If you like what I do, come check us out over at alphawooltrading.com. Happy Mother's Day to all the wonderful mothers. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll see you next week.